for another episode of Huddle Up here on Northwest Access TV. I'm your host, Paul, and to my left, we have, I guess we're now the usuals. We have Nick and Dustin here. We're missing JT and Bryce, but that's not to their fault.
When are we getting him a graphic on the intro?
I know, we're going to have to think about that.
He's been here more than Bryce and JT
I know, we'll start to just blend that in. Like a little thing at the end, a black screen says, "And Nick." And then that'll be it. Plenty to talk about in sports, and we're going to get to it. We're going to begin with our show starters, as we do every episode. And we're going to start with Nick because he's got some apologizing to do.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit too confident.
A little?
When expecting the NBA to go against what is expected by everybody else. The Celtics just lost it in Game 7. That's it. And they just handed it to the Cavs. So I'm sorry for jinxing them.
My favorite thing.
Very confident. I don't think I've ever known someone more confident about something than what Nick was displaying.
Like when Nick was like, who are the Celtics playing in the finals when it was only like 11-4 in the first? I was like, this kid has never watched LeBron James play basketball, and it's going to be golf that they're playing in the finals.
I feel like he's been playing almost your entire life.
Oh, yeah.
LeBron in a Game 7, 11-4. That's like a 2-0 lead. That's nothing. That's like a couple of shots.
Yeah. Well, I was just figuring because you look at how all the other games started in that series, and
the first quarter was usually the determination of what was going to happen.
The Celtics looked good. Tatum hit a big three, and the roof kind of came off the building there, and I was like, all right, this game's over. I'm going to go watch some more NASCAR now, and. I was probably one of the 5 people to say those words, but
no, I was one of them too. So there's dozens of us.
But and so I pretty much thought it was over. And then I looked at my phone a couple hours later, and I saw that it was like a 5-point game, and I was like, "Oh, what have I done?" Well, I turned it on.
I'll bounce off that with the show starter. Right now I'm rooting for Cleveland. I don't know about you.
I am too.
I hope you guys all did the same thing that I did and retweeted Demarius Randall. Because if you did, you're going to get a free jersey.
I also retweeted Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas was another one as well. Yeah, so you got your bases covered.
I can go ahead and guarantee that the Warriors win the series, and then we can all get free jerseys.
That'd be great. We all get free jerseys. I think it's funny that a lot of people are doing the math on it. I think he had upwards of how many hundreds of thousands of people?
55 million in jerseys, but you can obviously get like an insurance. So I don't know if you guys know how big
I think it's too late to do an insurance on this.
No, you can because with big sports bets, like there was this guy in Houston who said if the Astros won the World Series, everybody gets a mattress, and you can just take.
Right, you can do that, but that's as a company. As a person, you can't technically do that. And if he had done it, he would have had to have done it before the said promotion would have been released. Because Jordan's Furniture did that with the Red Sox back in. They did it for a no-hitter. They did it for the World Series. I have an uncle and aunt that won an entire bedroom and living room set because they bought their stuff during that promotion, and then they ended up winning the World Series.
But
yes, they took out an insurance policy and they were covered.
I'm sure he's got somebody who's willing to fund that. So you don't.
That's a lot of money. Now they kept saying that's for $100 a jersey. I think that most people are going to get those like $20 like T-shirt jerseys. That's going to happen. Yes.
Who is this guy?
Demarius Randall. He was a cornerback for Green Bay, I think, and now he's in Cleveland.
Browns.
Now he's in Cleveland. He's his first year with Cleveland.
He's got $20.5 million left on his deal, so he does not have enough money to cover that. I'm sure he's
making $1 million this year.
I'm sure that somebody somewhere is going to help him front that money, because that's a great PR opportunity.
It's really funny. I just don't.
Can we just talk about how
I think he should have cut it off. When I had retweeted it, he was at 1.5 thousand, and now he's in the ridiculous numbers of being able to pay for all these jerseys. So it's kind of crazy. Sticking with football, Dustin says that you may now call me Dr. J.J.
Watt. So this weekend, Baylor awarded J.J. Watt with a doctorate degree for his work in humanities, so based off the Houston flood. So now, next time when somebody gets hurt on our D-line, we have a doctor there to help on the field. Unfortunately, I don't know if J.J. Watt can help himself when he breaks his leg again.
Yeah, can he diagnose himself?
I
But think
got a broken leg.
I think it was a real cool story to just kind of see. It's like, oh yeah, this guy.
It's cool, but I feel like it came out at the exact wrong time to give J.J. Watt a doctorate in
humanities.
Is because the Chiefs' offensive lineman, Lawrence, I'm going to get his name wrong, Tardif, just received his actual MD during studying at McGill during the offseason. So he actually is now considered an MD, a doctor. Now he still has to go through his residency and stuff like that.
Isn't there that Ravens tackle or former Ravens tackle who's also like a PhD or something too? I mean,
well, there's PhD and then there's medical doctors. So.
I just found it pretty cool that he got, he's.
I think it's cool that they honored him with it, but I think it's even worse that it came out the same day that this one came out. It's like, well, that's kind of silly.
Yeah.
We're talking about, yes, I know what everything that J.J. Watt did, and we're giving him that honorary doctorate. But this guy for the Chiefs actually.
I love how you have the
thing.
Yeah,
I printed out the actual Twitter from Arrowhead Pride.
Nobody cares about the Chiefs,
yeah,
Paul.
I know.
Chiefs, put doctor on his
Chiefs
jersey?
offensive lineman is taking the league, talking to the league right now about adding MD to the back of his name. And there's a lot of, and I will go right into our main topics here, our today's lineup, is that with when he's doing that to the league, I think this is something the league should actually celebrate. Now, there are people that always put the juniors or the seniors on the end of it, but this is something that he was able to do while being one of the top athletes in his game and still be able to go get a doctorate. That's insane.
That's cool.
So I think they should absolutely.
I think they should.
At least not just do it right away, but at least consider, like, hey, maybe we should add MD to the end of his name.
Yeah.
I mean, his name's already long enough. It already looks crazy when it's on that whole thing.
Remember when people had to put TJ Hushmanzada on jerseys? Those were the days.
Yes. Yes, I think one of my favorites still is Saltalamacchia, the old catcher for the Red Sox, where it went from like
curves.
It
almost makes a circle.
It looked like a rainbow, basically, just a half circle.
Yeah.
We've got NHL and NBA finals to talk about, so let's jump into the NHL because I know you guys are salivating to chat about this.
We can't just get the NBA out of the way first.
Well, we can get the NBA out of the way. I figured you want to talk NHL. Look, I'm actually giving you a gift here, Dustin, and saying let's talk about hockey. Let's do that hockey, and you don't want to do that hockey.
The NHL, the Stanley Cup Finals has been a riot thus far, and I think it's, as a fan, it is everything you have wanted to see. Game 1 was just a lot of fun. It was back and forth into the last 5 minutes where, Vegas finally got on top there. But that crowd in Las Vegas is just amazing.
Yeah.
I hope that they stick with the team when this team does eventually have a couple of rough seasons. But right now, Vegas is a hockey town, and they love it. And Washington is playing, I don't think people expected Washington to come out of Las Vegas 1-1. I think Vegas has been so good at home. I think the only team that beat Vegas in Vegas this playoffs was the Sharks in Game 2. Washington comes out, wins last night's game off of arguably the save of the decade. Easily, one of
I told you the only thing I had seen from the highlights, because I forgot the game was on last night, because I think NBA and there's like 5 days in between each game, so I'm like, oh, the NHL playoff, it's not every other day. And I turned on the highlights this morning, and that was the first thing I saw was that save, and it was just insane to think about, because my first thought was, when did that happen? Was it in the second? Was it in the beginning of the third?
No,
it was literally like 2 minutes left in the third is when this save happened. So just the importance of it was insane.
And can you guys believe that Braden Holtby wasn't even the Capitals' starting goaltender?
Well, that's the thing that I've really enjoyed about this run.
If I knew who that was, I'd agree with you.
Excuse me. That's what I've really enjoyed about this run from him is because hopefully he kind of had developed the choker mantra, and the Washington Capitals were like trying to find a new goalie, and then he has come and he pitched 2 shutouts in the Eastern Conference Finals. He helped bring them back against Columbus when they were down 2-0. He has just cemented his place as I am your goalie on this team. Don't you dare try to bring in somebody to back me up. That's going to take my job mid-year. And it's funny going back and if you look at Washington hockey headlines from like a month ago, you'll see the debate between Hopefully and who is the other guy on their roster?
Oh,
Grubauer. And it's like everybody was like, yeah, we should start Grubauer. And it's like seeing what he has done in the playoffs is amazing because Braden's always been good. It's just that for some reason there was just this voodoo over the Washington. There was some voodoo over them. They could not get past teams that they were better than to save their life. And
most of the time it was just getting past the Penguins. No.
Yeah, and the Penguins were just. But it's been a really fun series.
Is it weird if you're the Capitals that you've spent all this time trying to get past the Penguins, you finally get to the Stanley Cup Finals, and Marc-Andre Fleury is still sitting in your way?
I think it's a little bit. It's a little weird.
Is it a little unreal to see like we finally got there? Oh my God!
It turns out that the boss wasn't the Penguins all along. It was just Marc-Andre Fleury. that was the curse. It's just only Fleury. And no, I think Washington does not care about how it feels right now because they are just they won their first.
Now, yes, they don't care because we won. I mean, what is the old saying about playoffs? It doesn't really start until the away team wins a game.
Yeah,
and they just did. So.
And I think, for Washington, this is a team that is in year 3 of a 2-year window. And everybody has said this. And I think they've come out and they're just like, we're just going to go for it. And, they won their first game they won the franchise first game in a Stanley Cup playoff or a Stanley Cup series yesterday. Like, that was the first time in 43 years that this team has won a game in the final. And I think they've just come out firing on all cylinders, and Ovi is just playing at the top of his game. They're getting goals. Some guys.
His face after that save was
Man.
priceless. Being able to see just the exhausted of wow, like that was so close. That could have been a game changer.
You can tell that this whole series just means the world to him. He's getting up there in age too, so it's.
I didn't realize how old he was until I just saw an interview with him, and he's just completely grayed out, hair and everything like that. And you're like, wow, he's really been here a long time.
Yeah, it's like his 14th year in the league or something like that. I mean, he's been around forever, and it's just been heartbreak after heartbreak, year after year. And so this is big.
I think this is his last chance to get one in Washington.
Before
he has to go. Before he has to go the Rene Burke route of getting traded to a hopeful contender and being on that second line and winning the cup that way.
Yeah.
I think this is his. This year and next year are his last chances to get it done in Washington, and he wants to get it done there because he's been that.
He's put so much work in there too.
He's been there his entire
career, and
it would be really disappointing for him to go and have to leave Washington without ever winning a Stanley Cup there for sure.
On a non-game actual subject here, what does the Washington pregame look like that could even compare to what Vegas has put on?
I think it burns down the city. I mean, I got a friend named Will Smith. Like, it's funny.
You have a name named Will Smith?
So he's
name drop.
So he's a white guy, works in environmental stuff. I met him working on a political campaign. No,
I think you meant to say William Smith.
William Smith. And he's a Caps fan. The watch party in the arena is full, and then they're partying out on the street after winning game 2. It's like, if Washington wins the Stanley Cup, we're going to have to move the Capital guys. Like, the Capital is going to have to move back to Philadelphia because the city, DC will be gone. They will burn that entire thing down.
You're talking post-game. I'm talking pre-game. So, like I said, we've seen 2 Vegas shows at the beginning of each game so far. So what can Washington do to step up their game?
I think Washington should just do nothing.
Do nothing?
Absolutely.
You feel like because Vegas has already done too much?
Yes.
I thought that yesterday's, I was able to see the highlights of the pregame from yesterday.
With Kurt Busch.
And I was like, there's just so much that they did. And on top of what they did in game 1, I feel like game 1 is the day that you do everything. But it's kind of like when you watch the Olympics, no one really watches the closing ceremony, like all the the spectaculars and the fireworks and all the things.
Nobody cares.
Everyone sees the beginning one. Okay, we saw the first one, the opening ceremony is great, all that stuff, amazing. But the second one, no one really cares as much. And I thought that's kind of the route that maybe Vegas should have taken. Because I had a friend that was like, can this finally move on? Like, I have to get to sleep. People on the East Coast have to sleep.
It's kind of annoying after, watching the whole pregame every single time. I would like to just move the broadcast back so we get there when we get on the
and
ice.
I would like to just congratulate NHL Hockey on doing that anyway, because these 9 o'clock start times for the NBA playoffs, there's not a chance I'm watching any of this.
No, the NHL, for all the flack the NHL gets for its TV contract, they do an okay job. You're not starting games at 9, 10 o'clock. Only in the first couple rounds of the playoffs when there are West Coast teams facing off each other, which is annoying.
9:30, 10 o'clock game.
And as an Avalanche fan, when they were facing the Predators and I had a 10 o'clock game time on a Thursday night, that's rough. But I
was hoping, honestly, for that Celtics-Houston matchup, just to see if maybe they would bump it back an hour so that we weren't having a 9. Yeah. Oh, they would have to, actually, for the Celtics. They wouldn't have a 9 o'clock home game for the Celtics. It would have to be maybe that 8 o'clock at the latest type of thing. So
because
I was kind of hoping for that, just so not just as a home fan, but at the same time, maybe I'd be able to watch a little bit of the game instead of being because they say 9 o'clock. It's not 9 o'clock, but 9:15 they'll be tipping off.
9:30 is when you
it's not like baseball. Baseball, they're down to the second. It's 7:07 that first pitch is getting thrown out, and at 7:07 it really is.
And I'll be fully honest. I'm probably not going to watch a big majority of the NBA Finals.
I'll see a lot of the highlights. If there's a the only chance you'll probably get me to watch it is if there's a Saturday game, and I think there won't be, right? It's tonight and then it's Sunday.
No, like tonight I'll probably tune in for like half an hour and then be like, I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like it's Cavs or if this was like Rockets Celtics or Rockets Warriors, I'd be like, okay, let's tune in. This is something we haven't seen. But we've
seen this movie all the time. Like this is like the thing you showed us yesterday, season 4.
That was Paul who showed us it.
Paul,
but it was like it was just
season
like,
4, the Family Matters.
Yeah.
That was great. That's fantastic. I actually have a connection with one of my former employees that knows the people that made that.
Oh, really?
And it's great because I never ever think like, who would have time to do this? So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, like that and that's going to be the best part of the finals right there. I mean, these are going to be 4 boring games.
I give Cleveland 5.
I think you had said what? Cleveland in 3?
No.
Oh no, sorry, Washington Warriors in
Golden
3.
State in
Warriors
3.
in a game and a half.
Warriors in 3 3/4.
I mean, my goodness, this is just going to be an.
So we're bouncing into NBA. Let's chat NBA. So my disappointment clearly with the Celtics from that game was that their lack of adversity to be able to change what they were doing. It seemed like they had no plan B to their game plan. It was very frustrating, and I watch it with my father as well, and he's going off every time they're shooting a 3. We're holding our breaths like, why are you doing that? We're just chucking up 3s.
At least you're not the Rockets.
Well, I know, but they did what, 27 straight?
0 for 27.
Right, but the Celtics weren't too far behind that. I think Terry Rozier was 0 for his first 12 shots or something like that.
Well, I think you could have
and most of those were from three-point range.
I think you could have seen it coming with the Celtics too, because this team without Irving and Hayward has never been a team.
Well, no,
that
because
shoots a
they
high
weren't
percentage.
reliant on the 3 throughout
they're not
that
a high
series, and then all of a
percentage
sudden,
shooting
Game 7, they decide they're going to change up the game plan, go with 3s, and just chucking them up, not wasting the clock down, not driving to the lane like they should have been, especially with no Kevin Love in the middle anywhere. I don't understand why they wouldn't have changed it up and said, okay, we have to start driving.
Well, I mean, the 2 Game 7s really helped out the NBA conspiracy theorists.
Oh yeah, the tinfoil hat is strong.
I mean, there's a strong case there that
the Rockets,
especially with the Rockets,
game?
like,
oh my God,
the
Rockets got
for the way the Rockets played, and then how Chris Paul went down with a injury.
They went down in Game 5.
Yeah,
so
and then
you had 2 games to win.
Exactly. Like, I wouldn't put it past him to have it be that Paul could have played Game 7, or the Celtics didn't need to put up all those.
If you were looking at conspiracy theorists, it would have to have been someone else on the Celtics that went through a concussion protocol and not Kevin Love, because the Cleveland Cavaliers have no reason to be in this finals. The Celtics were given every opportunity to win this.
But the Celtics ran into the Jeff Green game.
And then they showed up, and then
they showed up, and they
barely showed up.
They chucked the ball. I mean, and then
which is completely different from the way they've played all year.
But I also think that might be the mark of a really young team in a high pressure situation, because sometimes you see it with teams.
But then I felt Brad Stevens, because we're giving him all this praise all year.
I thought we were saying Brad Stevens is better than Greg Popovich.
And the biggest. When did I say that?
That's not you, but that's just what I said on NBA
don't look at
Twitter.
me.
But no, I'm just
don't be throwing NBA Twitter at me. I ain't doing that.
Yeah,
I'm saying that we've been praising Brad Stevens all year as a coach of the year candidate in the most pressured situation, the biggest game of the year, to get to the NBA Finals with minus 2 of your greatest all-stars that should be playing, and you can't change up the game plan at halftime. This team is one of the best teams at doing that. So I don't understand. And minus Golden State, I think they're like third quarter point differentials.
Golden
like
State third quarters. They're the worst.
Well, they're the ones that they come out of halftime and they just
you're
excel.
up by 15 at halftime. You're gonna lose by 10.
Yeah.
I hate Golden State so much at this point.
I think we all do, Dustin.
And actually, that was a question I was going to ask you guys as well. Has the narrative changed on Golden State? Because 3 to 4, and I wish JT was here to kind of defend that, because he's kind of our quote unquote Golden State fan.
But he was a Lakers fan.
He's everything. People don't know how to just root for one team, Dustin. I'm sure you know how that feels.
I literally only root for one other team in hockey.
I'm just saying, people do it. It drives me nuts. I don't do that.
Because I have a connection with the Senators.
Of course he does.
The first NHL game that I own and had a dynasty that I won a Stanley Cup in was NHL 2K7 with Jason Spezza.
Oh my God, that's the reason you like the
and
Senators?
I loved watching them play against the Anaheim Ducks and lose.
So my question to you is, has the narrative changed on Golden State? Because even as much as a couple years ago, and even last year, people were saying, like, we love this team because they're likable people. But if they're continuing to go to the NBA Finals, and you kind of see people getting sick of this whole, I really don't want to see this again, everything, has their persona kind of changed as it's time to break up the band.
Well,
let's see something different now.
I think
are they the good people now? Or are they the bad people?
I think that persona changed when Kevin Durant showed up.
Yep.
I mean, especially.
But I don't think it should have. Maybe as the team as a whole, but not the players that are playing there.
Yeah,
because everyone still likes Draymond Green, and people still like Klay Thompson. So people still like Steph Curry.
I can't stand Draymond Green, but
I feel like Draymond Green is the type of guy that when he's on your team, you absolutely love
he's
him.
the Brad Marchand.
Oh, I like either way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No, I like him either way because he's real.
I like Draymond
like
Green.
that.
I don't like his playing style, but I mean,
you don't like people getting stomped on the nuts?
No, I don't like that.
Okay, well,
really stomped.
But anyway, I like Thompson.
Motion.
I like Curry. But especially as a Celtics fan, when we were kind of led to believe in that summer of 2 or 3 years ago now,
Kevin Durant
was maybe going to come to the Celtics, and then he just went to the Warriors. I mean, that just kind of made that just kind of ruined my view of the Warriors.
Okay, so you've got the so you don't like him because of something like that happened, and I'm really going to give that to you because. It's his free choice. It's a free agency all about. And he was, seconds away from being able to sign with Boston, but we don't know what this team would have looked like with all that coming together.
True.
So, I mean, yes, I'm sure they'll be in the NBA Finals.
I'm about to go all in on KD too.
Go on.
Biggest snake in the NBA. Look, if you made the free agent decision of, all right, I want to go join the team like the Warriors because I got buddies on that team and I think we could be a dynasty, go for it. But I'm taking the hardest road. Like, come on. Like, Kevin Durant is a snake for starters.
In a way, he's taking a hard road.
Well, yeah, the hardest road of let's join the team that just won 73 games in the regular season. And, like, it's not fair.
But what about the criticism? Fans. You don't think criticism in this day and age of social media isn't a hard road to take?
Not when you have 15 burner accounts where you can be like, Russell Westbrook
right, we're gonna move on.
at basketball.
Yeah. We'll wait the burner accounts for later. Talk about Kevin Durant.
Yeah, Durant is. I just don't like him because he's got such a pull on the league and how he's a role model for the younger generations. But he complains about everything. He is a baby. Every time that somebody touches him, he's yelling about a call. It's just watching him play.
Is that not the NBA these days, though? It's not just Kevin Durant.
Okay, he's
LeBron
worse.
James is the poster child for that.
Yeah, I'm aware, but he's worse.
And that's quote unquote the greatest player in the world.
Yeah,
but LeBron, I would argue that
LeBron is just that. The thing about LeBron is that he shows up and he can take over games like that. Kevin Durant, and I'm not saying Kevin Durant can't.
I think statistically Kevin Durant does take over games.
But I mean, LeBron. I don't think
Kevin Durant's been doing Kevin Durant things all year.
I don't think Kevin Durant is as overpowering as LeBron James is.
No,
LeBron James carried Jeff Green and a bunch of scrubs to a Game 7 win to make his 8 finals in
against
8 years.
The team of rookies and a one veteran.
Like,
I mean, I'm making the case for LeBron James here, but
the point
if LeBron James didn't get to the NBA Finals this year, I mean, I wouldn't have said it was his fault. I wouldn't have said that Cleveland wasn't able to do it.
Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City after losing Game 7, which was an easily winnable. And I think people forget how hard OKC choked in that series. And it wasn't just Russell. It was Durant. Durant got really cold in Game 6 and 7 when the Warriors.
So what you're saying is everything was great and peachy in Oklahoma City?
I'm not saying everything was great and peachy, but I'm saying to leave
Shaq would have won 3 or 4 more titles if he stayed with the Lakers, and he decided that I wasn't happy with my teammate.
I don't blame him for leaving OKC.
I don't blame him for leaving OKC.
Playing with Russell Westbrook is just
hard. It's difficult.
Terrible.
But what I blame him for is you want to win a title, you want to build your own brand. You just went to the best team ever in the NBA.
Right, and that built its brand up.
And that's.
I'd love to see how much money he's making just on endorsements and things like that.
That takes away a lot of the greatest player conversation.
But that's where the NBA heads, Dustin. That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants. We're more worried about their brand than they are about the rings in their hand. I mean, it's true.
It's true. I'm not going to.
And I'm not going to blame him for going to get rings and an easier.
I'm not going to say I don't like. I'm not going to say, look, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. I get it. That's the NBA. I don't like it.
It's one of the biggest arguments you have. It's one of the first places you go to when you talk about the greatest who versus who, and it's the rings. How many rings do you have?
I don't think Kevin Durant will be in that conversation unless if he goes and wins a ring his own without a super team behind him.
I think that's unfair to say though, because there are plenty of athletes. So does that mean that Michael Jordan's ring shouldn't count because he had Pippen and Rodman?
Are Pippen and Rodman both MVPs?
I think they were considered, MVP caliber
But, like,
players.
is-
Yes,
is
back in the
Pippen the
90s.
se-
I'm just
was
saying,
Pip-
like, if you're
was
going to use
Pippen
that
the
argument,
second
if he needs to go out and do
best
it alone, so LeBron James, his other rings don't matter because he did it with All Stars. Is this so? This if he gets the ring this year, that's the only ring that we can count.
I think it's a little
Doesn't
bit
make any
different
sense.
because
How's it different? He just said that's almost the exact
Pippen-
same thing. He wants to go out and do it by himself.
you look at
That's
Pippen,
what LeBron
you
James
look
is
at
currently
Rodman,
doing.
you look at Dwayne Wade. If you want to even go to LeBron James, they weren't the best shooter of all time. Steph Curry is
They weren't the
one
second
of
best
the
player
best.
in the NBA.
I get that
at
he's
the time.
on like a super team here, but you're saying he has to go and do it by himself, and I don't think that makes any sense at all.
I'll walk that back and I'll say I think I would like to see him do it with players that are not so let's take LeBron James out of this equation right now because LeBron James is the best player in the NBA. Like Steph Curry, besides Kevin Durant, second, third best player in the NBA right now, maybe behind Harden. You put him on the list. So he's doing it with himself, the third best player in the NBA. Draymond Green and Klay Thompson are both top 25 too. So it's like the difference between Jordan and LeBron is that when LeBron went to the Heat, he took Chris Bosh, who was at the time one of the best power forwards in the game, but not the second best player in the game. And he took Dwayne Wade, who at the time, definitely one of the better shooting guards in the game, but not a top 5 shooting guard at that point. Wade's career path had been derailed by injuries. And then he took some people who were good bench talents and had Eric Spoelstra coach them, and he took those teams to finals. Michael Jordan, yes, he had a great supporting cast, but his supporting cast was not as good as the supporting cast that Kevin Durant chose to walk into as his hardest
I get
road.
that, but my whole point to it was I don't think you should blame Kevin Durant for what how he gets a ring. If your argument to that is he should go to a team with nobody and do it himself.
Look, I wish Kevin Durant would have just come out.
I think the LeBron James route is insane to even fathom because right now LeBron James is playing 82 games. I think he just said if game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight will be his 101st game of the season. Come on, you can't. And that's basically doing it himself the entire season.
Yeah,
I don't want that from any player because it's just going to limit how many years they're going to be in the NBA for.
I think that I agree with you with how you say that you don't think it's fair for players to have to do it by themselves. But I think that Kevin Durant, the situation that he walked into, kind of eliminates him from being in consideration for one of the best players of all time.
But I think statistically he still is because he's still putting up the crazy numbers he put up wherever he was.
Yeah,
he also has a supporting cast to help win those games as well, and it's not the pressure isn't necessarily there.
Yeah, I mean
but
he has not.
He's still putting up the same numbers.
All he's doing, he just has to go out there, take a couple jump shots, dunk the ball a couple times.
Why don't you twist it around? Why don't you say Kevin Durant's more of the role player on Golden State rather than everyone else is the superstar and Kevin Durant's just there?
Well, Kevin Durant.
Why can't he be the role player in this? We automatically assume because he's considered one of the best in the NBA that he's the role player in that team. Where, in essence, I've always said that I feel like Steph Curry is still the face of that team.
Steph Curry is the face.
I know he's
of
the face of
franchise.
it. Is he now the leading player on that team? No, I think Kevin Durant is. But why can't we assume that Kevin Durant went to this team to become more of a role player because he sees, look, I don't have to do it all anymore. I get it's easier for me. But look what I've been dealing with. Look what I've been working with.
You take the easy way out. You take away.
And he's been taking criticism on Twitter and on social media and stuff like that.
You take away an opportunity.
Right. I agree with you on
that.
But
I'm
not going to criticize him just for going there to win. But I don't think we've had that conversation of him being the greatest of all time.
No,
I don't.
Yeah,
put him
but I think
I don't put him at all in the. He's not one of the last people I think about. But when I'm thinking greatest of all time, right off the bat, my 3 names are like Russell, LeBron, Jordan. Like those are the guys I'm talking about. So I don't really think of Kevin Durant on that greatest of all time or that Mount Rushmore of players.
I think he had an opportunity to get into there, but with the move to go to the Warriors, he kind of took himself out of that conversation.
And he's still very young too. So
yeah,
you say
exactly.
that you don't know where he's going to go after this.
Probably
you don't know who's going to leave. What if Golden State? What if a couple of them leave next year and he still wins an NBA Finals? You don't know that.
Nobody's going to leave
No.
Golden
You don't
State.
know
Why
that.
would you leave Golden
Klay
State
Thompson
right
is
now?
good.
But you don't know about how guys these are professional athletes. It's a business. You got to remember that.
You
guys
think
are
Klay
thinking
Thompson
about
is
this with
moving
your
out of
heart.
California?
You're thinking about this with your heart.
Come on.
You really
Maybe
are.
he'll
You're
go
not
to
thinking
Dallas.
about it as a business.
Golden State is this.
If someone can go and get a bunch of money, they're probably going to go do it.
The only person I can see maybe doing that is Draymond Green. And even then, if they lost Draymond Green, they could still go win a championship.
Because they have Iggy still.
Yeah.
I think Draymond, if I were to see any of that core four leave, it would probably be Draymond Green, and it would probably be Draymond Green to go to a situation where he could walk in and be the two guy, like the second biggest star on that team, because Green was a second round pick. But the fact of the matter is that I think these guys have agreed that because they are in the best state to build a brand, in California, and
Exactly, yeah.
and I think they've all agreed. Klay Thompson has agreed to take a pay cut. Steph Curry was able to get the super max under the contract. Durant agreed to take a pay cut to go there. I think
you don't think after winning a couple rings, the criticism might get to him, and he'll be like, you know what, maybe it's time for me to leave.
It might. I don't know Kevin Durant. I know from what I've seen that I don't like his attitude. But with that being said, I do want to point out that, we were talking, the original conversation is the narrative around the Warriors and what we thought of this team. When this team started winning, this was one of the saddest, if you look at the Warriors' history, this was one of the saddest basketball teams ever. They were pathetic. They were like the Browns, pretty much. And then they did this amazing thing in the draft, because I am in awe of what the Warriors built. Because they got Thompson, Curry, and then they did the same thing with Curry that the Hornets did with Kemba. Was Curry had a year where he was injured, and they got him on the cheap contract after his rookie deal, and they built an amazing roster around him. I don't like the fact that Kevin Durant came in because, they traded Durant for Harrison Barnes, whatever. But you got to just give props to the Warriors for building this franchise back up out of nothing, because before this, the glory days of the Warriors was Steven Jackson and Baron Davis. Two players that were never going to win you anything unless if they were role players on the Spurs, because I think that's how Jackson got his title, or his ring, was as a member of the Spurs.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing how they built it. And if they add somebody, if Kevin Durant just comes up, I guess my issue is the way he announced it.
All criticism seems to go to Durant as being the one that joined the Warriors. Do you not give any criticism to the Warriors for bringing him in?
No. I don't.
Why?
I don't give
why didn't you do it the other way around? You already have your super team. You need to add another player like that? You have to be selfish like that and add a superstar like that?
As an NBA franchise, you're trying to assemble the best
Are you
possible
saying
team.
it's a business?
Yeah, I'm saying it's
So why isn't it a business for the player as well?
It is a business
Because
for the
they
player
don't
as well.
why would they don't want to leave.
My only gripe.
How do you know they don't want to leave?
Because they've said that they don't want to leave.
They can say all they want, Nick. Whatever's in their bank account and their
my
money.
only
That's
gripe
a
with the
whole different
Warriors
story.
situation, now that I've deep dived into it and feel, is how Durant announced. That's it. If Kevin Durant comes out and says, hey, after some consideration, I want to go play with my buddies in the Warriors and I want to just win 17 rings. Okay.
I don't even remember what his explanation was.
He was like, I got to take the hardest road. It's just the hardest road quote.
Yeah.
Just really sticks with me as something that really, when you're going to the 73 win team, you're not taking the hardest road. You can delete your Twitter account if you want to. You can get burner. That's what gets me, is the hardest road. Anything else, if he was hey, I've decided to go to Southern California because I want to play with this team, and he did it on. And one of the things I love is that in retrospect, LeBron's The Decision looks so much better historically because he donated money on his way out the door at least.
It was an hour of wasted time.
But hey,
he just donated the money.
But he donated the money to the Boys and Girls
Hey, I'm
Club
going to
on his way
Miami.
out.
Here's $100,000.
Hey, Durant didn't
It took me
even
3
do
seconds
that.
to say, Dustin.
I would have liked that a lot better.
I wish they had done a whole special and they started up and they come up with the cameras and LeBron just, I'm going to Miami, and then they have an hour to fill and they don't know what to fill it with.
Yeah.
Just kids but that was an interesting day. That was a really interesting
I remember
day.
staying up late to watch it. I had an early shift at work that day. I think I was in at 1
That's when you
o'clock
were
in the
still,
morning.
looking at 1
and I
a.m.,
decided
wasn't it?
to stay up and watch the decision. Where was LeBron going to go? And I was like, why did I stay up for this?
Yeah.
So it was pretty bad. It was worse than the old days of watching American Idol where Ryan Seacrest would be like, and the winner is, we'll tell you after the break.
Well, I'll tell you after this word from our
That's pretty much what that
sponsor.
entire hour was like. So where do you think, it never was even brought up until the last bit. No, I give KD a lot more credit than LeBron when it comes to making his decision, if you will. We still talking basketball because
I'd like to change my 3 and 4 up. I'd like to address
4?
our magical guest who is not
all right.
here.
So Bryce, I wish we had a live feed of Bryce crying at his desk at work right now because apparently to Dustin, Orlando is now the new
Orlando
factory
hired
of-
Steve Clifford, and oh my, oh wow! As a Charlotte Hornets fan who has pounded his head against a desk watching Steve Clifford refuse to develop our young core, play awful rotations, keep Nicholas Batum in the game even though he was 0 for 21 at some point. I was so happy when Clifford got fired. I was like, good. And look, I get he's got a good reputation around the league. But for the Magic, a team that is struggling with the same things that the Hornets are struggling right now, to hire Steve Clifford after getting rid of Al, whatever his last, Vogel, whatever his last name.
No, that's a select
or Frank Vogel.
That's
like
a select board member for the St. Albans town.
After getting rid of
Frank Vogel, I think is who you're talking about.
After getting rid of Frank Vogel, who's literally the same coach, they run the same defensive schemes. Like, like this almost was my just trash this week.
I know,
like,
it almost feels that way. That
I just cannot believe the Magic are so inept. Like, wow, guys. Like, we have all these wonderful coaches. Oh, look, Dwayne Casey, who turned the Raptors into a team that can at least get to the second round and compete for home field. And, you know, yes, they get steamrolled by LeBron, but it's a playoff franchise that's respectable. He's free. We have all these other coaches free. Let's hire Steve Clifford. He's led Charlotte to 2 playoff performances where they both got swept in the first round.
Where was he last before this bout?
Where was Steve Clifford?
Correct.
He was the coach of the Charlotte Hornets.
Just now.
No,
like that team's still around, the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, I
still
thought
around.
Did they change? I thought they moved.
No.
Oh, they were the Bobcats.
Charlotte,
So the Charlotte Hornets, right? Sorry.
Literally, Steve Clifford couldn't make this team relevant enough for Paul to know who they are.
Super good at basketball. Super good.
And they hired him as the coach? Like, come on. Like,
I didn't even know Charlotte's not a team.
You could hire an orangutan with a clipboard and still get better than Steve Clifford at this point. Steve Clifford is literally the worst thing for a young team. Now, if you have an older team and that, you have some veterans that you need to, like, cobble together to get a 5th seed in the East, Steve Clifford's your guy. If you want to develop a team and actually contend, Steve Clifford is not your guy. And this follows the long range of moves that I'm sure Bryce will tell you about someday, of awful moves the Magic have made. You know that guy in Indiana who just lit the league up? You know who had him who drafted him? It was the Magic. Like, the Magic, they traded for Serge Ibaka, and then they shipped Serge Ibaka away. This Magic team, nobody talks about them because the NBA is full of other drama that is just so over the top. But even the Kings are getting it back together now. Like, the Kings have figured out a way to build something with their roster. Like, the 76ers are one of the worst teams in the NBA. They made the playoffs. The Magic don't know what they're doing. The Magic are incompetent. Like, this is the NBA's new factory of sadness. I cannot find another team except for maybe the Suns. And you know what? With the first pick in the draft this year, the Suns are going to be able to knock it out of the
more
park.
upside, right?
Even the Clippers turn it around after the Sterling age. Like, this is
I really
the
feel
only
like
team.
I could play the role of Bryce here and argue at least a little bit
could.
against you. I don't think he could.
But
I think he'd just be sitting there next to you being like,
the Magic, this is your new NBA factory.
But good
of
luck.
sadness,
Good thing it's baseball season and Tom Brady's coming back, so I'm fine. I don't need to worry about the Magic right now.
It's like the Magic haven't been relevant since that finals with Dwight Howard. That's it. They haven't, they maybe made the playoffs 1 or 2 times, got beat by the Hawks and the Celtics in the first round, but this is your new NBA factory of sadness, because I can't think of a team off the top of my head that has such a bleak future, that has no plan going forward.
Does it make you feel good that you at least know one fan from that team?
It does. It really makes you feel really
right,
good.
because otherwise you really wouldn't care either way. But the fact that you know Bryce and he's
it can be argued that Bryce isn't even a Magic fan anymore. He's tweeting so much. He was tweeted so much about the Celtics.
Yeah,
like you jumped ship, Bryce. What camera point
so
to?
you're saying it's not okay to cheer for 2 different teams?
Wait, you can't cheer for 2 teams? Is that against the rules? Are you not supposed to do that?
My point.
That's called bandwagoning. Isn't
my
it?
point is that Bryce has not talked about the
I
Magic.
would be okay with
like
you
a
if
year.
you said once your team was eliminated, you jump on to another team, because I think everybody does that, where it's like, who would I really want to win now? But you actually physically like 2 teams. And with Bryce, I kind of agree with you. I think he physically does. He actually likes 2 different teams.
I just find it hilarious that the second team he likes happens to be the Celtics team that's suddenly all really, really good. But anyway.
He's got you cannot fault for someone who lives in New England for cheering for the Celtics.
And who's also a Magic fan.
Oh, that's not fair. I lived in New York for 4 years. You don't see me sporting a Yankees hat.
No, Bryce is also a Yankees fan, by the way.
I'm just saying
he's also a Yankees fan.
By the way.
I'm just saying that
so
you
he's just
can't
going for
fault
those
them
new
for that.
franchises. He's the Patriots fan. He's the Yankees fan.
Oh, boy.
He was an Orlando fan during the good times. Now the Celtics are getting better.
Now he's a Brad Stevens fanboy.
Yeah. All right,
I'm going to mention this when I see
All right, so we got the new
this.
factor of sadness. Let's keep it in the NBA. It's probably the longest we've talked about NBA in a long time. The 76ers in an NBA Twitter war. I need you to at least preference this with a little bit of a background. To help me out with this.
So on Tuesday night, The Ringer released a story about 76ers GM. So let me go back 5 steps. A couple years ago, after Sam Hinkie the process was starting to work, the NBA forced Sam Hinkie out because they hated what he was doing. They put this guy, Brian Colangelo, into the job. Glory boy basketball family. His father had done a lot for the game. Adam Silver mouthpiece now in Philadelphia. Philadelphia fans hated this, right? Philadelphia fans hated because Philadelphia fans were like, look, we've accepted the process. We're getting stars. We like this at this point. They saw the light at the end of the tunnel. Adam Silver puts this guy in. So The Ringer puts out a story Tuesday night about how this GM of this NBA team has, a couple of burner accounts on Twitter. And look, you can have multiple. I have multiple accounts on Twitter. I have my account. I have a couple business accounts that let me tweet from them, whatever. It's
a little different from this. It's
a little different.
These aren't businesses or nonprofits. These are like made up people.
These are made up people that were leaking confidential info. Were leaking things happening inside the locker room. Were defending his awful collars. Brian Colangelo wears awful collars. And he would take these accounts and he would tweet at these people,
and criticizing
he criticized
players,
his best player on the team.
Right.
And it's amazing to me because, we saw last year, going back to Kevin Durant, because he had the comment about Oklahoma City on Instagram with his Instagram burner accounts. I want to know, one, how many people on NBA Twitter have burner accounts? Because this is pretty fun at this point to find. But also, it's a really bad look for this guy. Apparently it came out this morning that 3 of the accounts have the phone number ending in 91. His wife has a phone number ending. It was 91? I thought it was 91.
4061, something like that.
Whatever it was, and that his wife might be connected. So this is a guy who's been leaking confidential information.
Right. I think his wife is possibly linked to 2 or 3 of those. You look at
the Celtics. No wonder Danny Ainge can fleece people. He probably's got a list of everybody's burner accounts.
But he has come out and said that he's not.
He's come out and denied it.
I don't even know how to use these things. I have the same Twitter handle, which is like Philly 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 or something like that, and he only uses it to monitor other things.
But I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe in today's NBA where, you have a player in Joel Embiid where you have, he's a great social media presence. And if it's not Colangelo, it's somebody connected to him. You do not get that much information out of an NBA locker room without having somebody real high in the NBA locker room. The know that Noel would have failed his physical in another place or that he wasn't working. This is stuff that this is stuff that GMs, coaches, top level players know. And it's hilarious. In some cases, it's hilarious because this guy, he was arguing with a guy and he was like, find a new slant. That's my favorite way to end an argument now. Find a new slant. That's what I'm just going to find a new slant. But
do you think this affects whether or not LeBron goes there at all?
I
think it probably could.
I think it could, but I don't think Colangelo is going to be around long enough because there's got to be.
True.
You got to fire. If something comes, if him or his wife are connected to this, you got to fire him because this is leaking confidential information. The union can go after the 76ers over this because of player information leaked. I don't know if it was Noel, whoever he did leak the information about could have lost $10 million on a contract because of this. You can go after the 76ers for that. And it just proves that, I say a lot of stupid stuff on social media, but
I can agree with that. Yes.
But if you look at my accounts, I never tweet anything.
Especially giving me
about
crap
war.
about not seeing Infinity Wars, and then just admitting to me no longer than an hour ago that you've also not seen Infinity Wars.
But I don't care about Infinity War as much as you do. But the point is that you don't.
It's giving me garbage.
You can tweet anything in the world, but don't tweet about your job, man. Don't tweet unless if it's positive things about your job. Don't tweet about your job. You follow this one simple rule. It's 3 rules on Twitter. Don't be racist. Don't retweet porn.
Roseanne. Okay, go on.
Don't tweet about your job. That's it. You literally have to do 3 things on Twitter.
What was the third one? I got lost at number 2. I got to write this down so I remember later.
Okay, we'll go. These are the 3 rules of Twitter
so you don't get fired.
So you don't get fired at your job.
Right,
okay?
Don't be racist.
Don't be racist.
Yes.
Don't retweet porn.
Got it. Okay.
And that's a Ted Cruz homage. And don't tweet about your job.
Okay.
Like, don't tweet about work. Come
You
on.
want to succeed on Twitter and social media, follow those 3 steps.
Dustin Tanner's
Tanner's
social media class is coming up.
Coming
this
up.
Fall. How to tweet.
All right, let's bounce into football because I had one thing I wanted to chat about real quick, and it was about Cassius Marsh, who is a former linebacker for New England Patriots. He's now picked up by the 49ers, and he decided to just go completely off on about the Patriots and about the Patriot way and how I didn't have fun there. Said they don't have fun there. There's nothing fun about it. There's nothing happy about it. I didn't enjoy any of my time there. And then Jeff Howe, who is a constant reporter and everything, came out and said that back in November he talked to Cassius Marsh, and he said that he absolutely loves everything about where he is, and he thinks it's great. Coaches tell you what they expect from you, what the role is. It's something I really appreciate about this place. Very two-faced. So was there a point during that season probably that Bill Belichick maybe wronged Cassius Marsh or something like that? Because it's like these players, they feel like, oh, I'm just going to blow up the Patriot way, what it is, or what's happening in Foxborough. And it's starting to really get at me because it's like, listen, if you don't like it, don't play there. Yeah, you have an opportunity. Exactly. One, you're already taking less
31
money.
Other teams.
You're already taking less money. You're already taking less guaranteed money. You're not playing for a bunch of years. You're going there voluntarily. I don't understand where the hatred comes from. You know what you're getting into because you've heard other players' accounts.
Yeah, I think this is just a joke overall. I mean, Cassius Marsh had 1 sack in 10 games for the Patriots. Yep. So, I mean, he was one of those guys that came up when the starters were injured a couple years ago. So, I mean, I couldn't care less about what he has to say. He wasn't a vital member of the team ever, and I don't think he has the skills to be. So, I mean,
right.
That's just, if he wants to talk about it, sure. I mean,
see, I'm on the other end. It's like, you know, move on. You've got a new team. You're good to go. Yeah. Like, stop talking about it.
If it's bothering
you
kind of the same so thing much when you're on the other team, then, I mean, I guess the Patriots are doing their job well enough. Right. You're thinking about them after you left.
We're going to jump into baseball real quick, and then we'll get over to another topic here. You were talking earlier, Dustin, I think last week, about Tampa Bay, how they started a relief pitcher. I don't think we got to the show, but we had chatted about it a little bit. So they started a relief pitcher to begin their game. There's more turmoil in Tampa Bay. They had Nathan Eovaldi, who is coming off injury, so I'm going to state that first. He threw 6 no-hit innings last night, 1 walk, and then they decided to take him out. And then
after 70 pitches.
And then after 70 pitches, which is what he was slated to throw. He actually threw 71, I think. And then he comes out, next pitcher comes in the next inning and lets up, I think, a 1-out single or something like that. So my question to you is, who was in the wrong or who's in the right in this situation?
So,
because I feel like your first immediate thought is, why did they do that?
My first immediate thought is, why do you pull a pitcher who has a no-hitter? My second immediate thought is, what was his injury? Mm-hmm. And if he's coming back from something that is an arm injury, look, a no-hitter is a great story, but we talked about, you talk about prospects, you talk about pitchers. Yeah. I'll take 200 innings in a year over 1 no-hitter any day. If I'm the Rays, it's about development. And I'm sure this guy's mad, but, this is your first time starting since August. And great, you're having a great outing.
First time starting since August of 2016.
Like,
he didn't play all of last year.
Like, you pitch him carefully. You know he's got an injury history. You know that.
Rib cage injury is what it was.
Pitch 75 could be it for him. You don't know that. And I think taking him out after 6 no-hit innings is more than okay. Yeah. I think I'm not going to fault a team like the Rays who is trying to build these prospects up and try to, this is a guy that they want in their rotation. This is a guy that they want starting a game every 5 days. You work him back gingerly, and if he's as good as he is, he will have, you're going to get another chance for a no-hitter. Like, if you're a good pitcher, like every good pitcher I know has had a couple of chances at the no-hitter. And sure, you could have gotten it this game, but it's not worth your and I'm sure the player agrees with it. It's not worth your long-term health. If this guy comes out and pitches.
I just think it's funny watching social media kind of blow up and the critics saying that you should have at least continued into the 7th to see if you can keep going. Like, you're already monitoring when you keep going. Clearly his pitching efficiency is good enough where you can keep monitoring.
If you've got a set 70 pitch cap,
which they did.
You got to take him out at 70 pitches.
It's funny. They had
that's just how it goes.
They threw up his line for his last AAA start, 8 runs, 10 hits in 4 innings. So completely 180 from his last start in AAA. But I agree with the whole fact that it's 70.
Yep.
You know, if you say it's 70 pitches, then he knows ahead of time that's what I'm getting. If he only went to the 3rd inning, he was only getting to the 3rd inning.
And I think that's a perfectly fine thing to do. And I think the player will understand long term if working you back health-wise is the best way to do something. You don't care when you have that big pitcher contract. If you're an elite pitcher, you'll get paid, but you don't get paid by getting hurt. And for this guy, it leaves a good taste in everybody's mouth too, because he pitched 6 no-hit innings. Like,
something to look forward to, right?
Exactly.
All right, so let's jump over to home field advantage, keeping it local here on Huddle Up, and we're talking baseball still. Nick, you heard some sad news again. MVU baseball season is once again over after, from what I would like to say, would look like a very promising season compared to years past.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were really young this year, for sure. I mean, my senior class last year was pretty big, so and at working their game on Tuesday
yep.
was really eye-opening to see. I mean, their top 5 hitters on Tuesday were either freshmen or sophomores, and they did the majority of the damage for on the offensive side of the ball and pitching. They had a sophomore that threw a no-hitter this year, so. I mean, they've got a bright future, but Tuesday's game was one of the best baseball games I've ever seen in person. I mean, back and forth came. I mean, they were a strike away from winning it, up 3-2 in the top of the 7th, runner on 3rd, and Hartford got a couple hits and they came around. They got 2 runners to come around and they took the lead. And then MVU didn't really have anything for them in the bottom of the 7th, but. Just a great game overall, and really heartbreaking as an alumnus to see that happen. But that's all right. The future is definitely bright for them.
We're going to stick with MVU because I have a highlight that I'd like to show. This is from last week's. I think it was versus Fairfax?
Yeah.
MVU versus Fairfax. So if we can roll that, play that. So this is against Fairfax. A solid hit, by the way. Coming back. And it goes over the fence. The outfielder reaches over the fence to grab the ball. As you can see, Nick, mumbling there, he almost gets hit. Here's my problem with it. Do umpires in Franklin County know what a home run is? Because last week we had the similar issue where the ball went over the fence, and the umpires put the player at second base. Now, MVU was a lot. You don't hear the chatter here, but the MVU was a lot better. The players here seem to be a little more respectful and actually tell the umpires that did go over the fence, and I think is it Hunter Tardy that's in center field?
Nunez
he said
Wales now,
something on the lines of, "You got to respect that. That was a heck of a hit. You got to respect. You got to give him that home run." So in other words, you have to basically, because they didn't award him the home run. I think it's a little home run trot.
Yeah.
You didn't reward it until I think it was a Tardy in center or something, or left field.
Yeah.
Where he was saying, "No, that went over.
Yeah.
That went over." Like he's yelling to the umpire, and the umpire says, "Oh, okay, it went over. We can bring it back."
Exactly.
So, I thought that was just good on the MVU players to be able to say to the umpires, we yell to them like, "No, that's a home run. Let's get this. Go ahead."
And you gotta respect that. I mean, it's a home run to pretty much straightaway center field at MVU. That's a pretty deep fence out there. Right. So yeah, I mean, you gotta respect that for sure.
And it almost hit Nick. It did hit your table, right?
Yes, it did hit my table.
Yeah.
Frightening experience for me, but it's all right.
Did you not think to move out of the way?
Well, I was moving out of the way, and then it hit my table in front of me. I was like, all right.
I think a solution to that would be permanent fences in some ballparks. I know that's really hard to do for some teams, but what does MVU play on their baseball field?
That was a removable fence.
Well,
it's a crashable fence.
Well, actually, the fence at MVU is one of those snow fence things that you can take in and out as you please. But I know that they do play. That's like the last resort. That's like the last resort soccer field in the fall. The outfield is, so that might be a slight problem. But I don't think it would be a huge deal if MVU, especially softball too, because the pit, nobody else uses the pit down there. So I think that you definitely could, at least at MVU, you could put up permanent fences out there. I mean, I know BFA has them for both baseball and softball, I believe.
Yep.
And I don't think we ever have issues with
baseball. Actually needs to redo their fence because the bottom of their fence is all open.
Yeah.
Because it's all folded back kind of thing, just for years of wear and tear.
Yeah.
So any ball that gets hit to the fence, you're just sitting. I mean, normally at BFA, you'd probably be on third, if not home, with a shot to left field. and instead now you're sitting at
Although
second base.
I was thankful for the removable fence last year, though, because that thing gives a little bit. And when I lost track of where I was in right field during a play last year, it just launched me over it instead of knocking me out.
I really wish we had that on camera, and yet we do not. So,
thank goodness.
Dustin, your home field
I don't really
advantage.
have a lot for home field advantage, but I will point out, you talk about the umpires not knowing anything. They've become an umpire in that case because Vermont has a shortage.
Oh, I'm
of
saying that
officials.
definitely joke in hand. It's
And
just
joke
like,
in hand, but
it's been 2 weeks in a row that the umpires have been like, no, second base. And
I
it's
think
like,
this is a really good
part of it also
chance.
is look where they're positioned. They're not necessarily in the right place. They should be coming out a little more.
If
to
you
see
love
these balls.
sports in Franklin County, it's pretty easy to become an umpire. It's pretty easy to become an official, and we need more officials.
it's going
We
through
need as
classes,
many more
yeah.
officials, and you can make some good side money on the
Oh, yeah,
side. So
definitely.
my point would be, hey, let's if you let's get some more officials. I'd love to see some more officials.
Time now, and we're running out of time for my favorite.
I'll keep it short.
Yeah, we don't have to. You have a few 4 minutes here. To my favorite category, or rather subject of the day, and that would be Dustin Tanner's Just Trash. I love that animation. I wish I could get that on fire. I think that would just make it so much better.
We should try. There is a flaming dumpster GIF. We could probably work that
Go for
in.
it.
Nick apologized earlier for his jinx, and I'm going all in on Celtics fans on Twitter this week. Y'all were ready to raise the banner after game 1. I saw, and it wasn't just Nick, I saw tweets from 5 to 15 accounts saying, it's over, it's over. LeBron can't come. Like, Celtics NBA Twitter needs to not raise the banner. Y'all the Indianapolis Colts of basketball at this point. Like, the Colts are AFC finalists.
He's mad.
I really was tempted, if I had the money in my bank account this week, which I didn't because I had to spend it on something. I was really tempted to get you a shirt that says Game 1 Eastern Conference Final Champions. And I might bring those in at some point.
A little trophy.
Like, just a little trophy because
They won game 2 also.
after 2-0, maybe after 2-0, okay, I'd be like, okay, yeah, you guys have a chance. But on top of this, Celtics fans and every single chance saying, it's over, it's over, it's over. It was 11-4, Nick. It was not over.
I think that
it was not over.
I think Nick, in your sense, should be the Just Trash of it because that was what I'm watching the game.
He is the
and
face of our Just Trash.
They're up
this
11-4, and my phone buzzes. I look down, and Nick goes, "So who do they think they're playing in the finals?" And I'm like, "It's literally been like 4 minutes." Into the
And I
first
saw
quarter.
this, and I was like, that is exactly how NBA Celtics Twitter has been. So congratulations, Nick. You are officially on our Just Trash list. You joined a great list of folks like Andy Reid, the New York Mets, the Baltimore Orioles. You joined this great list of folks.
Baltimore Orioles? Is that
I
a
can't
team?
pronounce that word
My
really
wife
well.
would love that if they were a real team.
I would love that too.
Wait, double stuffed or regular?
Yeah, we're
should be a team
selling.
called the Oreos.
We're selling at Hannaford's right now. They've got like a new cherry cola kind of Oreo.
Oreo
Pop Rocks
has.
in 'em.
Cherry Cola Oreos is the.
I'll
devil.
throw this in as well. Oreo has gone way too far. They have too many. They have too many flavors.
Oh, no.
I just
Just
want my
trash
stuff
2.0.
double stuffed and maybe a flavor or two. But I do not need 50 flavors of Oreo.
I think you're milking this one.
But my point
Come on,
is
Dustin.
that NBA Celtics Twitter, y'all gotta tone
Y'all
it down
again.
next year until Brad Stevens makes the NBA Finals. Let's not hang a banner in the first quarter of a game, or let's not break down the Warriors matchup when it's only 11-4.
I think that's going to do it for us on Huddle Up. When Dustin says two more y'alls than fact of the matter is, we've gone too far in this show. So that's going to do it for us here on Huddle Up. We've Dustin and Nick, and we'll try to be back next week with another edition here of Huddle Up on Northwest Access TV.